these? Well, in this video, I'm going to lay out 7 steps that you can follow to win the tournament of your dreams. So let's get to it. Hello, I'm Master Instructor Anthony Beeler, and thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Do You Want to Play Like a Pro? In this episode, we're going to be looking at 7 steps to winning the tournament of your dreams. And our first step that we're going to be looking at today is believe that you can win. If you don't believe in yourself, you'll never win. In 1992, I played in my first big pool tournament. And at that pool tournament, I went 2 and out. There were over 100 players there. Some of the players were the best players in the world. Even though I went 2 and out, I decided to use that time wisely. And I followed around some of the best players in the world, and I did a comparison of their game to my game. And I was brutally honest with that comparison. And over the next several years, I worked on the weak parts of my game, and I tried to get those up to the levels of the players that I wanted to beat. I'm happy to say that roughly 12 years to the day that I lost that tournament in 1992, I went back to that very same tournament and I won first place. Not only did I win first place, but I beat the 5th ranked player in the world 2 times to claim the championship. And to this day, I credit that to the fact that I believed I could win 12 years earlier. If you're looking to improve, hire a quality instructor. I see students over and over again thinking that they're doing something the right way because they watched it on a video, and in reality, they're still not performing the action correctly. So get a professional set of eyes to look at you while you're performing the actions. And that's what we do at Virtual Billiard Academy. So if you're needing a set of eyes to evaluate your game, give me a call and I'll be glad to help you out. Step number 2 is to play in the present moment. You know, when you're in a tournament, you can't be thinking about negative memories from the past. And you can't be dwelling on the fear of the future. You've got to put yourself in the present moment before every single shot that you shoot. And the best advice I can give you is to use your senses to put yourself in the present moment before each and every shot. And engross yourself in your pre-shot routine. Make it a step-by-step process that you do over and over and over again. And hopefully, if you follow that same routine, you'll get the same results over and over and over again. Pocketing one ball after another, winning match after match after match until you claim the gold at the end of the tournament. Now back to putting yourself in the present moment. I briefly spoke about this in another video, but I just want to remind you that one way to use your senses to put yourself in the present moment is to slide your bridge hand into place before each and every shot and ask yourself, how does the cloth feel? And like I said before, it's going to feel the same that it's always felt. But when you're feeling of something, that's in the present moment. And right as you go to deliver that shot, that's an important part of delivering that shot and pocketing the ball. Step number 3 is to maintain a positive attitude. You know, sometimes it's just not in the cards to win that game. Or it may not be in the cards for you to win that match. Sometimes the balls just won't let you win. And when that occurs, you can't let that get you down. If you do and you start thinking about you're having bad luck or this happened to you or that happened to you, then it just like the snowball effect. Your problems just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger because you're not focused on the present moment and you're really not playing at your best. So it's brutally important that whenever you go to deliver the shot, you're maintaining a positive attitude. And the sooner that you can understand that sometimes it's just not in the cards to win, the sooner that your game is going to bump up a level, because you'll quit associating loss with something negative. You'll begin to understand that sometimes it's just not meant to be. Another thing I want to mention is remain positive with the draw. It's all in how you look at things. In 2001, I drew Shane Van Boening at the Derby City Classic, and he was my next opponent. I could have looked at that and said, oh gosh, I've got to play Shane Van Boening. But a better way to look at it was, wow, I get to play perhaps the best player in the world. Wouldn't it be something if I could beat him? And I went heel in that match against Shane. I did lose the match, but I put in a quality performance. And the reason that I was able to do that was because I didn't look at it as a negative. I looked at it as a golden opportunity and a chance that I could beat perhaps the best player in the world. Step number 4 is patience is a virtue. Now, what I mean by that is if you're faced with a really aggressive shot, or you can choose a more conservative one, always go with the more conservative one. And the reason for that is if you're more conservative and you play the percentages, over time, the law of averages will win out. You don't want to shoot at a 30% make whenever you can play a safety from that same position 99% of the time. So every shot that you shoot in the future, I want you to associate percentages with it. I can do this such and such percent of the time, or I can do this another percent of the time. Weigh your options and choose the highest percentage. And over the course of time, the law of averages will win out, and you'll win more games and more tournaments. Anytime you're in a situation where that the percentage of the shot is equal to that of the safety, you should always go for the shot because it gives you a chance to win. So if you're in a game and you've got an 80% make and an 80% chance of playing safe, try to pocket that ball and see if you can't win the game. That's a lot better decision than playing a safe and waiting to see what your opponent may do, because he may kick it in and beat you. Step number 5 is to ignore other players. I was coaching a student a few years ago, and he went through a really rough patch where they hadn't won anything for several months. And we kind of gotten his game back on track, and he went to a local tournament, and he was really doing well. He won his first 4 rounds. There were no problems, and frankly, I thought he was going to win the tournament. And then some of his friends started talking to him. You've changed your stroke. It doesn't look like you're coming through the ball as straight as what you used to. What are you doing differently? Another player came up and said, I think you made the wrong decision during that last match when you done that. You almost lost that game. You better be more careful the next time. And before that was done, he was a total mess. He couldn't make a ball in his next match, and then he went on to lose his next 2 matches and go out of the tournament. All because he listened to other players. If you stay away from other players, your head won't be filled with negativity. Because I promise you, the one thing you're going to hear when you get down on that shot is what your friend said. And so if you stay away from negativity and you stay away from negative comments, then you're going to be in a much better place to win the tournament. Now, most of the time, these players mean well, but they just don't understand how important that it is to maintain a positive attitude before each and every shot, and what one negative comment can do to a player's game. Step number 6 is follow a consistent routine. You know, there's nothing more important than being consistent with what you do if you're trying to win a tournament. And that means to go through all the mental checklist steps at the beginning, looking for potential problems, determine the angle of the shot, the speed needed to execute the shot, as well as the spin, and then go into your mechanical steps. And what I mean by that is you'll aim from a standing position, be sure your distance is correct from the cue ball. You'll get down to your stance, take a couple of practice strokes, and then you'll go through your 1, 2, 3, which is the set, 1, 2, which is the pause, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4, which is your finish freeze. And then you'll get back up and you'll start that process over again. And, one thing that I see players do is they rush through their process, and that's where the mistakes occur. Most of the time, it's during the decision-making phase that players get in trouble. But don't forget just how important that process is. If you take that extra time, if you evaluate the table just a little bit more, that may be the advantage you need to win your next match and go on to the finals of the tournament. Step number 7 is deal with pressure appropriately. Don't put unnecessary pressure on yourself. I know of a player that went to the Derby City Classic and took his entire family there and talked about what they were going to do after he won the event. Well, he put so much pressure on himself that he didn't even get in the money. Players can do that. Anytime you're expecting to win or you're telling someone that you're going to win, then you're putting unnecessary pressure on yourself to perform, and you don't want to do that. Another helpful hint for dealing with pressure is to put weight on your bridge hand. So when you go forward to plant your bridge hand, I always try to put a little bit of my weight forward, and I actually press into the table. In pressure situations, there's a natural tendency for a player to want to jump up. If you're putting weight on your bridge hand, it's almost like you have to tell yourself it's time to get up off the shot and release the pressure off the table. That's a very helpful hint, and if you practice it, it'll improve your game. Another thing that you should consider is, does the shot look right? If you get down to your stance and you get into your aim, you have 3 checkpoints to determine whether you're in correct alignment or not. You got, first of all, you're aiming from a standing position. That's your first checkpoint. Your second checkpoint is your practice strokes. And your third checkpoint is the set position. If something doesn't look right during any of those phases, you should get back up off the shot and start the process over. Another thing you can do during a pressure situation is to shorten your bridge length, which will in turn shorten your stroke length. The professional players call this cinching a shot, and that's where you shorten your stroke up, you slow your stroke down, and you just make yourself pocket the ball. You're really not putting much emphasis on anything else other than making that shot and delivering a straight, smooth stroke. Another thing that I want to mention to you is when you're in high pressure situations, you can't look at pressure as a negative thing. Harness that energy. Use it to drive you forward and to play your best. The best players in the world use their nervous energy to make themselves perform better. And you can too, but You've got to look at it as a positive thing. Another tip that I want to give you is how to handle extreme pressure situations. Maybe you're in the finals of your first big event and you're down on the 9 and you've got to pocket the 9 to win the championship. I've seen players dog that shot over and over and over again because they don't know how to handle their excess energy. Anytime that you're in the middle of a match and you've got a lot of excess energy, there's a simple trick that professional players use. And I've seen Varner and Hopkins, all the greats do this. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch some of the finals of major events. Whenever that they feel the pressure and they're really in the heat of the moment, the one thing that they do is they will sand the shaft of their cue and burn some of that excess energy on their cue rather than misfiring the shot. And if you think this won't improve your game, I'm telling you, I'm living proof that it's improved mine. So take note of this, and the next time you're in a high pressure situation, try it, and I promise you it will improve your game. Well, thanks again for watching another episode of Do You Want to Play Like a Pro? Work on the 7 steps that we've outlined in this video. Take the time to diagnose the problems in your game. Get a professional coach to look at your game and tell you what you need to improve upon. Be brutally honest with yourself. Tell yourself what you need to do to improve. And in no time, I'm sure that you'll be able to elevate your game up to the point to where that you can win the tournament of your dreams. And I hope this video helps you, and I hope that everyone has a safe and wonderful week. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the section below. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe.
It's just one of those amazing classes that you can never forget. It's one of those classes that can really get you going where you want to go with the game.
It's the best online course on pool out there.
It's been really cool working with Anthony from home. I've already learned so much.
I love the course. It is easy to use and available 24/7, which fits well with my busy schedule.
Luckily, I stumbled upon Anthony Beeler's online courses, so I signed up. And within 3 or 4 months, my game had improved dramatically.
It will definitely improve your game.
When I did go back to the regional tournament, finally after 7 years, I got first place. They bumped me up to the next division. I went back the following year. I got first place in that division the first year. I can't say highly enough how much Anthony's courses have helped me, and I have no doubt they will help you too. If you do have any questions, he's available on the phone calls. He answers your questions very quickly.
Someone asked me about Anthony Beeler's Virtual Beeler Academy class. Go all the way.